Organized Sound Podcast, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Hib Balde, and I'm joined today by a very special artist. Jesediah is in the building. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing very well, bro. Thanks for taking the time out.
Yo, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yo, I'm so ready for this. Got my pen. I'm ready for this.
I need that gold, I need that perp. Got that 2-4 chillin' on my shirt. Added 7 cause I always put in work. 24/7, let me kill the verse.
So, tell the people who don't know, who is Jesediah?
So I am a hip hop artist, I guess to put it like simply. I have been doing kind of like trap with like some R&B influence. Up to this point, and I'm kind of like switching styles a little bit, but still staying in the realm of hip hop, just like kind of changing some of the influences that I'm drawing from. Yeah.
Whoa, I'm glad you jumped right into that. Tell me about your influences.
Cool. Yeah. So let me think. I've always loved Kanye West, so he's been like a huge influence.
Crucial.
Yeah. First album that I bought was Late Registration. Like when I was a kid, that was like my first CD purchase. So I've always loved Kanye West. I think that his like the way that he goes through making music, like his creative process, is just absolutely insane. And like watching videos of him in the studio has like always really helped me with like what I'm doing. But on top of that, I also love Young Thug because I just love like them.
Yeah, we have the same ear. I think that's why I gravitated to you right away.
Young Thug is just the best. Like the pockets he finds and like his melodies. They're just like they're so crazy. And like when he first came out like doing his thing, like when he kind of stopped sounding a little bit like Lil Wayne and like kind of became like full Thug, insane, just like absolutely insane.
He was out of there.
Yeah,
and then
gone.
His ability to make so many songs in such a short period of time after that is like what really just the door blew open.
It's so wild. Yeah,
it was epic. What songs were those for you that you really relate to for Young Thug?
So like from his older stuff, I actually really like the song Bricks, and it's like it doesn't sound really like that much of the stuff that he's doing now. It's like very old Young Thug. I can't remember what tape it's from, but it's like one of his earlier things. And he just like, the hook is like, some of the bricks are white, some of the bricks are brown. Like, it's just like the simplest thing, really, but it just like, that shit just slaps. When I heard that, I was like, wow, okay. Like, so I feel like a lot of times, like, you overthink what you're putting into your music. Like, you get caught up in like, all right, like, how does this sound? Like, do I sound smart enough? Like, is it whatever? But it's just like, he's out here literally saying like such a simple thing, and like, it doesn't really matter because like, you can still like, you connect to it on like an emotional level, like, you know what I mean? Like it hits. So it like really doesn't, it's not complicated, but it doesn't have to be complicated because like you're still connecting to it. So I love that song by him. And then Slime Season, I just like love the whole tape.
That feels like a classic mixtape to me. When I think of Young Thug and how many people have drawn from him inspiration wise, he just, I get like the Kid Cudi feeling about him. Like in 10 years, we're going to be saying his influence was Kid Cudi level.
Absolutely. It's so crazy because like I was on my internship the other day and
word.
Yeah. And we were talking about, we were just like listening to this artist. I can't remember the artist's name because it was like kind of complicated.
Somebody new?
Yeah, somebody new. Someone new, yeah. Cool song. And it was like, this person had this kind of like Young Thug like staccato flow, and me and the guy that were like listening to it, we were both like picked up on it instantly. And it's just like there are some artists, you know, like Migos has a flow that like if you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, like that's the Migos flow. And like Young Thug, I think what's really interesting about him is that he has so many flows, but whenever any one of them comes up, it's like, oh yeah, like that's a Young, like he's one of the few artists I feel like that has like multiple flows that he owns, that like you can be like, oh yeah, like that's a Young Thug flow, but so is that, and so is that. You know, like Migos, they're great, but it really is that one triplet flow that like that's what people associate with them. Whereas like from Thug, you know, you go from like Drippin' to Dream, and it's like completely different way that he's approaching it. But like you hear anybody do either of those things, and like you're still gonna associate with the same artist, and that's always been like I've always thought that was really cool because he like the consistency is like his vocal quality. Like he sounds the same, so like you always know it's Young Thug, but that means that he can like do whatever he want. Like he
makes every song his own.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you think of how he branched out so successfully with like these almost like islandy records now, and Good Times.
Yeah, and like country influence on
right,
the last
the country
project,
influence.
and just like wild.
Very well done.
Just but it's really cool. I like that a lot.
So talking about getting back to you, internship. This is the reason I really admire you right now. You're on the music grind. You're a full-time student at NYU. How do you balance that?
It's hard. It's like a lot. I try and basically just make as many connections between my schoolwork and what I'm doing outside of school as possible. Like I grew up in Syracuse, like near SU, and so my dad, he was a teacher in the city school districts, and he knew a lot of people that taught at SU, and like if they were doing research on the side and they were also like teaching a class or something, you know, they would make sure that their research was connected to like what they were teaching about. You know what I mean? Like they would find a way to do like what they had to spend all this time doing that they enjoyed doing, like have that connect back to like curriculum based stuff. And so like I've tried to take that same kind of approach and just like wherever possible, you know, if I can do like a song that I'm working on for like a class, you know, I'm taking a songwriting class. So it's like right now I'm working on a project, and so I've been using this songwriting class to like bounce off songs for this new project, you know. So I've been like writing the songs and then like bringing them into the class, like getting feedback on them, and like, but these are all things that I'm planning, hopefully, like, you know, when they're fleshed out, to put on this project that I'm working on. So it's like, you know, I'm just, you gotta make bridges, because otherwise like there's just not enough time in the day. Like there's truly not. You can't be doing like 12 unrelated school projects and trying to crank out like 12 songs to put on a project, because like you're just not gonna have time. And now I have this internship, and so it's just, it's a lot.
Right. So let's clarify really quickly. What is your major?
Recorded music is like the name of the major, and my focus is, I went in as like a performer essentially, was my track. I guess I've switched a little bit more to songwriting, just because like live perform, like I perform a lot, and like live performance is something that I like to do, but it's not, the track in my program is not as fleshed out as it is for some of the other things. So I just had like better resources to do, like focus more on the songwriting stuff. And, you know, I just watch like a lot of like tour videos, show videos, like.
Yo, when I went to school, I would sit down and watch, and this is when I first got into Muse, the band. I would sit down and watch an 1.5-hour video of one of their like big festival shows, and and then watch like 6 in a row.
You have
because there's like always another one in the queue that seems interesting, and that was like most of my Saturdays, like Saturday afternoon gone. So internship, talk to me about what you're doing there, the experience, and how that came about.
So I'm doing an internship at 300, which has been really dope. And my like focus is basically like learning from the people that do A&R there. So I've just been like doing that, and they just have like different things.
I really like the A&R position. I think that's the new. As people are kind of learning more about music, they're learning more about that position. I feel like that's kind of an in the shadows position that's very vital. So can you just define what an A&R is and does inside the industry?
Yeah, so A&R is artist and repertoire. Basically, like, so I mean, like in the past, like A&Rs had kind of like a more set, like smaller set of responsibilities, I guess. And it was really more just like to find music for artists that were on the label, and they would also be responsible for like pitching artists to the label. And then like once those artists were or were not signed, like if they were signed, then like that person would usually become that artist's A&R, and they're like in charge of like artist development. You know, like if the artist needs people to write songs for them, like your A&R might handle that type of stuff. But now like the position of an A&R has like expanded, because like everyone has to do so many different things. Like I'm noticing working with these people, like, you know, the focus is trying to find music to like bring to the label and that type of stuff, but there's just also so many like other, like, you know, like they're looking at marketing too. Like what an A&R has to focus on in order to find an artist now, I think has definitely changed, because it's not just like, okay, like, you know, you're gonna find this person from like some small town, you're gonna bring him to like Warner, and they're gonna get, you know, millions of dollars thrown at them, whatever, to like, you know, as like an advance, all this stuff. Now it's like they're looking for artists that like already have a sense of their brand, you know, that like they don't have to do as much brand development with, because like labels aren't in the same position now that they were before. And like 300 is a thriving label, but they're still like anybody else, you know. It's like, of course they want to put the work in, but like if you have to spend like 3 times as much as your artist is going to make back just to develop your artist brand, then like it might not be worth it anymore, because there's just so like there's so many ways that people are creating music. There's so many artists out here, so it's like they're looking for different things now, I think, which has been really interesting.
And there's so many different places music can be consumed, which is an interesting when you think about artist discovery. And so now you're talking about how the artist kind of needs to be at a higher level in order to get this kind of cosign or have the conversation about being signed. Do you feel like what do you feel is the position of labels now? Do you think that they're necessary for the artist? And what do you think of this debate about, you know, staying independent versus signing?
I think that as with a lot of debates in the music industry, like people take a very like blanket view of like it can either like it has to be one or the other, you know, that like either artists should be independent or like you should be with a label. But the thing is, like, now labels like can put you in a position with like different smaller deals, you know. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you've completely signed to this label. Like maybe you just have a publishing deal through this label, you know, maybe you just have like distribution through this label, or like maybe you're like working with the in-house engineers at that label, you know. Like I have friends where like they're not signed, but like there's a label that's like backing projects that they're doing. And so I think that it basically just comes down to like, what are you looking to get out of the whole thing? Like if you want a situation where like you're gonna have all these people who like have, you know, have a piece of the pie but are also all ultimately pretty much working for you, then, you know, signing to a label might be something really great. But at the same time, if you're happier just like having a manager and then like making your own little deals, you know, just like kind of making this spider web, then you can also do that. But I feel like the problem is when people think of it as like it's got to be one or the other, because most of the time it's like kind of a combination of both. Like even Chance, you know, who's like the ideal independent musician, you know. Exactly. He's like the king of independent musicians. Like he came up on SoundCloud, all this stuff. But like Chance basically has a label. He just has a label that only works for him. But like his music is funded by Red Bull, and he does like all these exclusive releases with Apple. That's basically his distribution deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just because he's not running it through like Warner Music Group doesn't mean that Apple Music is not essentially functioning the same way that a distribution department of a label would. So it's like we still need the things that labels do, and it's just kind of like the way that people are going about getting them, I think, is changing. So you might not need to go like directly to like one of these major labels and be like, hey, like sign me, I want like a 360 to whatever, you know. But at the same time, you're also probably not going to be able to just like not have any involvement from these people either.
I want to take it back to the NYU environment and scene. What's that collaborative effort like? Because you're around a lot of like-minded people who are also interested in doing music. I'm sure there's a ton of interest in hip-hop lane as well. How do you enjoy that?
It's really cool. There's like, I've met a lot of really dope people at NYU, and especially in my program. Like one of my best friends, Benny, we've put out 2 records together now. And like I met him through Clive. And so it's great because for the most part, like everyone is kind of on like equal footing, you know? So it's like you have to collaborate with people because it's like hard to pay for all of the things that you need to do. And like students are most likely going to give you like a lower rate on things than like, you know, if you take it to some engineer at like some huge midtown studio or something, you know? And so you can like learn and grow together with these people. And I think that's been a really valuable thing. I've made like some really great creative partners. And then also additionally, like NYU just has so many of these programs like that are music related in one way or another. So like I have lots of friends at like Steinhardt. Like my manager goes to Steinhardt. One of my good friends, Gio, he goes to Steinhardt, and he like does a lot of my booking and stuff. So, you know, like I've been able to make a lot of connections through other people, not directly in my program. Also, just because like NYU has these resources.
Definitely. Do you think of NYU and think possibly going to grad school? Where are you at for that? What grade are you right now?
I'm a senior, basically. I'm graduating in the fall, like end of the fall semester.
Okay, so this is definitely, a vital question. Are you thinking grad school?
No.
No. Okay. What do you want to do post-graduation? How do you envision that?
I think I'm going to go to London for a little bit, and then come back, do my, like, capstone pitch, because, like, I graduate in the fall, but I'm going to come back and do my pitch next spring. So I'm thinking I'm going to spend a little time in London. I've been there a couple of times. I really like it. And then I want to move to LA after that and just like see what's good out there. I have some family out there, I have some friends out there. So I just figure switch a scenery. You know, I've lived in New York State my whole life, not New York City, but New York State. So.
Okay. I definitely agree with the idea of traveling while you're young. Tell me about your experiences in London and what resonated with you.
I went in high school, and it was just like the fashion, the culture there, like it was just so lit. And I listen to a lot of artists that are from the UK as well. There's like a lot of really cool stuff coming out of that scene. And yeah, so I really want to go over there. I want to make music with Georgia Smith slash marry her.
You heard? Jesediah's gonna be in town.
She's absolutely amazing. I've been listening to her.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with her. So what's her music and style and genre?
It's like R&B. It's like electronic R&B basically. But it's super super dope. Her voice is incredible. Her like songwriting is wild. I really like the like melodic paths that she takes in her songs. Like everything is a hook. You know, like, even though it might not be the chorus, like, all the melodies are, like, earworms. And so I really like that about her writing style. She got, like, a Drake cosign, like, a little while back. But she's been popping. Like, she didn't need a Drake cosign. Like, it wasn't a situation like that. But she's, like, really starting to pop off more in the U.S. now. She's, like, been popping in the U.K., but she's, like, people are starting to, like, listen to her stuff more over here. And then she just was on the Black Panther soundtrack. So that kind of like solidified that, yeah.
Major look.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let's talk about your style. You mentioned enjoying London for style and that you wanted to be there. Personally, where do you get your style and what are the influences there?
I get my style from like a lot of different things. Syracuse is like not the most stylish place, I would say.
What do people like there? What's the average Qser?
Yeah, average Qs person is like blue jeans and some polo, and like I don't really rock with that.
I really don't like jeans anymore.
Yeah,
I'm like a Catholic schoolboy. Like I was always in khakis, but like I really don't like jeans now.
I don't like blue jeans that much. I like other like colors.
Actually, that's true. Yeah. Like I can mess with some black jeans.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like there are some people that are fly up there, you know, like for sure. But it's like Syracuse is a little bit weird. Like there's just like a lot of different stuff going on. But I've always been like really into style. I like Young Thug's fashion sense. I think is really sick. Yeah. So I love that. Fabulous. I've always been like into the way that he's dressed. Like just like the really out there like type of style. I think that's really cool. And then more recently like Chance. I think that his style is cool. So I just but mostly like when it comes to clothes, I just like get things that I like and then just like put them together. Yeah, just like however I want. Cause I feel like my fashion is it's an extension of myself. So I don't really get caught up in like what other people are gonna think looks cool.
Right.
Like when I was younger, I definitely did, but like now at this point, like with clothes at least, like I just really don't care because like everything that I have purchased and like that I own, like I fuck with, you know, because like I'm spending my own money now on clothes. So it's like I'm not gonna buy something that I don't like. So anything that I have in my closet, like I think is wavy. So then I'm just like not concerned about that type of stuff, and so I've been like putting some crazier stuff together as of late. Like my show outfits have been getting like a little bit more eccentric and stuff, but it's been fun. It's all fun. Like,
right. It's a learning experience too,
Yeah.
right? Developing, yourself and your brand, and that's so integral to being a new artist.
Yeah.
I would say you're kind of like the future of New York to me, up and coming New York, because you're so well accessorized. Talk to me about accessories.
I love accessories. You gotta have accessories. I got this G.Shock. I've had it for a long ass time. I kept it because I knew that they were gonna come back into style, because everything comes back into style.
Word.
I got it in like middle school when they were like popping, I like got my G.Shock. I was like, yo, like I'm the shit. Look at my G.Shock. Custom color combination, all that. And then they like went out of style because people were like, all right, like it ain't all that. But it is all that, like you get a G.Shock that like matches your outfit perfectly. That's what I like about those, because they're just like,
they're every color.
They're every color. Like you could get, I have this one. It's black, so it goes with pretty much everything. It's got like a purple face, but it's black. And so this I can like throw on with anything. But I also have this like yellow, blue, and red one. So I like wear that with certain. But like I love G.Shocks. I think they're really fly. I don't care what anybody says. I think they're fire. I'm not wearing any of my rings today, but I got...
Yeah, you're usually ringed up.
Yeah, I usually have hella rings on. I have this lion ring that I got. Yeah, it's nice. It's a Gucci ring.
Really?
That's my, like, main ring.
That one you usually got with you.
Yeah. Today
the promise ring to music.
Yes, exactly. I bought it over the summer. I had come into a little money. So I bought myself that ring. I got a couple other ones. Like I have this like just basic gold band. It was my grandpa's. And then I have this other one that's a wolf head, and it was my dad's. So I have like jewelry from my family and stuff too. Yeah.
That has to be very sentimental.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah. Like pretty much all of the like most of the jewelry that I wear has like some meaning to it. Like my dad got me this Ankh, and well, this chain.
Yeah, what's your ethnic background?
Oh, so I'm Creole, essentially. Yeah, I was born in New Orleans. But yeah, I grew up with an Italian father and an Irish father, and so yeah, like my culture has kind of evolved. I think. Like I identify with like Italian culture as well. Just from like growing up with my dad. Like I'm not Italian, but I definitely identify with that. But yeah.
Okay, sweet. Let's talk about the music then. Let's get into it. G.O.A.T is like your first big single.
Yeah.
Going crazy right now on Spotify, SoundCloud. And you've opted to put your music on a lot of the different platforms.
Yeah.
You're on Tidal. What else?
Apple Music, like Deezer, like we have it like on everything. Google Play, yeah. We were kind of testing the waters, basically. Just trying to see like what platforms made sense. For what type of music, that type of stuff. Because we definitely seen like some of the songs take off more on SoundCloud. And so it's just been interesting to kind of like look at those metrics and see. Like what's going on.
All right. So talk to me about the song. How'd you put that together, and what was the vibe?
G.O.A.T. So the beat is by this guy Kyle Abicam, who he's based out of Toronto. And so grabbed that beat, and like as soon as I heard it, I was like, yo, like this is wavy. So I just like it was in my old apartment on 12th. I was living with my ex-girlfriend at the time. And I wrote it, like, basically just all sitting at my desk. She was there in the room. Like, she was on my bed. We were living together at the time. And so she was, like, chilling on my bed. I was sitting at my desk. I wrote this song out. Like, I was like, okay, I had the idea for the hook first, basically, and I like went through a couple of different like iterations of it. I couldn't like figure out how to end it, you know, like how to get everything to fit, and then I finally like I got this hook. Then the rest of the song just kind of like fell together after that. Like the verses came pretty easily. And yeah, so I just like I tracked it all in my room, and then my friend Benny mixed it, and then. My friend Jake got it mastered. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then we just like, we put it out on SoundCloud and all that stuff. Yeah. We just actually rapped on visuals for it a couple days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's coming soon.
Yeah. So that's like that's all in post right now.
Yeah.
It's been interesting because like my new music doesn't really sound like that. And so basically like I'm kind of using this video as like the like closing chapter of like that sound, you know. I didn't want to put the video out after I started releasing this new music because I didn't want to confuse people, and so you know we're gonna put this visual out, and then from there it's just like basically gonna be this like new sound that's coming, but it's kind of gonna be like, you know, like thanks for being along like the first part of the journey type thing. But yeah, I'm really excited about that.
So what's the artist development that came into play where you feel like you graduated to this new sound?
So basically, like I put these records out. I put out G.O.A.T, and then we put out Lonzo, Stove On, and they were all really fun records. Like I had a blast making them, but I felt like I wasn't capturing like all of the sounds that I had in my head because like, you know, I was getting the beat from my boy, and then like I would just more like top line essentially, which like was cool, you know, like. The tracks turned out dope, but at the same time, like, I produce as well, so, like, I play instruments, so, like, I can also translate directly, you know what I mean, like, directly what I've heard in my head to a project. Like, I can also do that by myself, and so I felt like I was, one, kind of just, like, repeating myself lyrically, like, because of the type of music that I was making, there's, like, certain content that's acceptable, you know? I was making, like, straight trap. So it's like there's certain content that's acceptable, you know, like I'd be talking about money and cars and girls and all that stuff. And so like I was doing that and like, you know, it was fun, but I was just kind of like, I'm saying the same thing. Like I'm just finding like a new way to talk about the same thing as opposed to like actually like getting stuff out that I want to talk about. Cause like music has always been therapeutic for me. And this like started becoming like an exercise in songwriting versus like me like making music for myself as well. And so I had like basically had like a talk with my manager and he was like, yeah, you know, like just sit down and like see what you can kind of like figure out, like what direction you want to take. And so like maybe 5 months ago, I came up with this record called Bougie. And from there, like that's kind of been the sound, just like this kind of darker hip hop with like some dance hall elements to it, but also like really heavy folk music influence. That's what I used to make before I made hip hop. So I'm kind of like drawing back from those things.
And where did folk come into your life?
I just always loved the music growing up, and then when I was in middle school, one of my history teachers was in like a bluegrass band, and so he basically like kind of got me more into it, taught me like how to play bluegrass guitar, and that type of stuff. So like I was making that type of music when I came to NYU. Yeah, but since then, you know, like I switched over to like more strictly hip hop, just because like I also have always loved hip hop, and like I just figured, you know, like I'll try this, I'll see what's good with that. But no, I'm just kind of trying to marry those two sounds because I feel like they actually have a lot more in common than people think about. Because like at the end of the day, like people think of like hip hop as like, you know, like the black sound. And like it certainly is, but like there's also so many other types of music that have just been like whitewashed over the course of history that like were also the black sound. You know what I mean? Like folk music is also the black sound. Like bluegrass music, that's also the black sound. It's just like, you know, I took this class and like we were talking about like country music is associated with whiteness all the time. But the thing is like a lot of these instruments, you know, like the banjo, like so many of these things, like they're literally from Africa. And like it was slaves that brought these things over the first time, and then it's just kind of like over time we like lose track of the origin of these things, and we just start thinking like, oh yeah, like, you know, this is how it was, but it's not how it was. So like, to me, it's just like, this is a perfectly natural like marriage of sounds, you know. Like a lot of times when I talk to people and they're like, oh, like folk and hip hop, like how does that work, you know? And
it does sound interesting, but I think that's almost like a good selling point too.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but yeah, I just feel like these musics actually are like deeply connected, and like they both rely almost 100% on storytelling at like the base of their lyricism as well. And so like it's really been like a lot easier to marry the two genres than like I think people thought that it might be. But yeah, I've been really happy with the music that I've been doing.
Awesome. I definitely want to talk about the new music. What this you kind of mentioned you want to put more of yourself into the music, more of your experiences. What are some issues you want to talk about kind of personally?
Yeah. So like for me, like I have struggled like on and off with depression, and like I definitely think, especially like in the Black community, there's like not enough conversation around it. And if it is, it ends up being like not sensationalized, but turned into like XXX, you know, like where it becomes like everything is about suicide. And it's like there's also this like middle ground of like, you know, like I have some like real high functioning, like real depressed homies, you know what I mean? And it's like there's this like middle group of people that are like kind of completely lost, because it's like at least in like the conversation that I feel like Black people are having around mental health, it goes like from either like nothing is wrong to like this extreme of like everything is wrong and like I don't want to be here anymore. And it's just kind of like there's other situations where like you're still struggling with this, but like you might not be suicidal, you know what I mean? And so I've been like just trying to like be very honest and like talking about, you know, like everything from like how like the drive to get money can like fuel people's, you know, like mental health issues, and just like really trying to examine like the different sides of what's going on in the hip hop community and the Black community, and then like just me as a person, and just kind of like try and put that all into the music and just like give a perspective of like it's okay to like not always be like hard and happy, you know, like not hard and happy, but like
those two like, stereotypes within hip hop is like the high energy, you know, artist, and every time they run into a fan, their fan wants them to like do a backflip,
or, like,
exactly, jump out of a hotel window,
exactly,
and then like there's that very New York traditional rapper like, who's like
I'm the G
in the back of the club and doesn't like any of the new records that are playing.
Exactly.
It's just like not having fun.
Yeah.
And depression, you know, it definitely feels like a staple of the youth movement right now, but it just reflects life, right? Things you're up and you're down, and not every day is going to be a great day, and you have low points, and I've definitely experienced that. And there's something weird about New York in particular, and how money plays a real interesting factor, because there's a lot of very visible income inequality here, and you're on the street and, you know, you feel like a very normal person, and then you see the very wealthy that live in the towers and they're dressed really nice, and then you see a homeless person on the street and they're asking you for money, and you know that would be a tough experience to have to spend one night sleeping outside, let alone like all winter long. And the idea of money and depression really plays a big role in New York. I have a really interesting story that I want to share since we're on the topic.
Yeah.
I was at the XXL concert, and I had bought 2 tickets, and I wanted to just resell one to make one like a little cheaper for me. And I ran into this kid, and we just started talking, right? Because I wanted to sell a ticket, and he was sort of looking for a ticket. And he's like, oh, I only have, like, I live at the shelter right now, and I'm homeless, and I only have $40 in life. And he was probably a little younger than me. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to try and get these $40 from him. in the moment. And then he was like continuing his story, and I honestly didn't care at all. My mind was totally elsewhere. And then I like reflected on this probably like a week later, and I was like, damn, I wish I'd emptied out my wallet for him in that moment. Like, I didn't need the money. He needed some money. And like New York just takes you to a totally different headspace where you're thinking about stepping on other people to get ahead. And that's something that you need to be mindful of just in your experience.
Yeah. No, it's definitely true. Yeah, New York City is like, it's dope, but it also, like, everyone is always doing stuff, so you feel like you have to be doing stuff all the time. And like that also is just like, that's not possible. Like, you can't do stuff all the time, and no one is doing stuff all the time. It's just like, people in New York City also, like, I swear, like, they love Instagram more than like any other city in the world. Like,
I would say it's a very life imitating art.
Absolutely. And so it's like, you know, you also get caught up in like, half these people aren't doing shit. They did something like 3 months ago, and they're just now posting like 12 different pictures from it 12 days in a row to make it look like they were doing shit for the past 3 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
it's an epidemic,
right? It's
here.
like, everyone's really just out here like trying to finesse the next person into thinking that their life is sick. And like, if you get caught up in that, like, you're gonna lose track of yourself, and like, it's an impossible game to play, because like, you're never going, like, even the most like lit people in the world, like even like Travis Scott and Migos, their life is not exactly the way it's portrayed on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Right, because they always look fresh.
Exactly.
But like, they're in the studio, they have some PJs on and
exactly,
stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's like, you know, even the people whose life really is crazy, like, they're still not showing you 100%. So it's like, so why would like Bob show you what he's actually doing if like no one, you know what I mean? Like, it from bottom to top, no one wants to actually tell the truth. And so like, I just been trying to do that, because like, I just think like, I think that stuff is gonna get real played out like real quick. And like, if you're not actually like standing true in like your identity or your belief, like, eventually the rest of that is all gonna crumble. Like, all, you know, all the rest of those towers, like, that's all gonna fall. But like, at the end of the day, like, if you've set your mind on like, this is the story that I want to tell, like, these are the issues I want to raise, you know, this is where I want to use my voice, like, that conscious decision to do that, and to do that through music, like, that is timeless, you know. But like, YSL is gonna have a new season next summer.
Oh man,
you know,
it's very cyclical.
You know what I mean?
Everything.
Like, the rest of these things, like, they just come and they go.
There's gonna be a party in New York every day.
Exactly.
But like every weekend, people are gonna go out.
Exactly. Someone's gonna go to One Oak every Saturday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are gonna do stuff all the time, but like, that doesn't mean that like, you have to like imitate that to put on any sort of image. And I used to like definitely be guilty of that, but now, like, now my like manager has to remind me to like post things on Instagram. He's like, yo, like, Jesse, like, you haven't posted in a while, like, you need to post something. And I'm like, oh, like, shit, like, you're right, you know. But it's just because like, I'm busy now, like, now I'm actually doing something. Because what I realize is if you have time to be constantly showing people what the hell you're doing, like, you're probably not doing anything. You know what I mean? Because like, me and the squad, like, I know niggas, like, they'll be locked in the studio for like 12 hours. You won't hear shit from them. You know what I mean? Like, you can't reach them on the phone, nothing, because they're working. They don't have time to be like, I get in the studio, I take one picture when I first walk in, and that's literally it. I don't even touch my phone until I'm done, because it's like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I'm not here to flex for the gram.
There's a lot of distractions.
100%. And it's like, you got to be able to like cut all that stuff away, because otherwise, like, you'll just get lost in it. You'll spend, you know, you'll literally book 6 hours and spend 6 hours trying to get like the perfect boomerang. And it's like, you know, even just like in day-to-day life, I try and do this. Like, I'm terrible about texting people back. Like, I really am. And like, it's not because I don't care about people or like I'm not there for people, but it's just like, I'm not on my phone the way that I used to be on my phone. Like, I'm just really not. And like, if I'm around people, like, yeah, like, you got 100% of my attention. But You know, like I'm home, I just put my phone to the side. Like my phone automatically goes on do not disturb starting at 10 p.m. And so it's just kind of like you have to make time to like remove yourself from these things because like they're so constant. You have access to it all the time. You know, you wake up, your phone's right there. You can spend all day on it if you want. Like no one can really tell you not to. But it's like if you do all that, then like what are you not doing? You know, because you were spending like however much time hitting everybody up doing XYZ on Facebook, whatever.
This is a new, very, very new problem in society because there used to be a limit, right? In all of existence. You used to have to buy like every movie you go to see. You used to have to buy every piece of music you wanted to listen to. You used to have to buy data to like be able to be on your phone. And now we live in an unlimited, all access, 24/7 media.
Yeah.
Like everybody's trying to grab your attention zone. So the only limit there is the limit that you put on yourself. So 100%. It's very important to just cut yourself off and be disciplined.
Yeah.
More than ever.
And I think too, like that's why figuring out like what you want to focus on is important so that you can get a team around you to help you do it. Because like there's nothing wrong with wanting to post something on Instagram every day. In fact, like it's going to be helpful because social media is so important to stuff now. But at the same time, like, then what you should do is, like, get yourself someone on the team who's, like, going to run your social media for you, you know, so that you don't have to be thinking all the time, all right, like, what should the caption be? Like, what should I post? Like, if you want to have constant content, then, like, see if one of the homies will, like, you know what I mean, will, like, run the Instagram, run the Twitter. Because otherwise, all the time that you're spending doing this, like, should be allocated somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, like, artists have to do a lot now, and like, you know, you got to make your brand, you got to like self-market. There's so much more stuff that you're responsible for, but at the end of the day, like your main job is to make the music, because like without the music, none of that other stuff exists. Like there's nothing to market if you don't have any songs, you know, like there's no brand to build if you don't have any records.
There's a cart before the horse.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, that means that if you are trying to do both of these things, you know, then get someone out, like get a photographer. I have a session coming up. My friend was like, yo, I want to have some like images from this session. I was like, all right, bet. So like, let's plan to have a photographer in the studio so that we can just do our thing. We'll work. He'll work, snap some pictures. And then, you know, like everyone's done. Everyone does their thing. We can get this music done and we can still have pictures. It doesn't have to be like, oh, like go stand over there so I can like take this picture of you and then we can like get back into it. You know, it's like, but you just got to plan for it. And I think that people don't always like, I've been trying like to be very conscious of how much time I have to do things, and anything that I think is going to take too much time, I try and allocate that to someone else, because there's people that are much better at doing these things than I am, you know, like I could mix my stuff. I could spend like a long ass time doing that. Eventually it would sound the way I want it to. I could also just hit someone up who mixes all the time and be like, all right, like let's sit and get this record mixed. You know, and it's just like, if you try and do too much, nothing is gonna be correct. That's the problem too, you know.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely,
For
absolutely.
Sure. Before we kind of got away from the depression element, but outside of music, you've mentioned music being very cathartic. Outside of music, what do you kind of do to get yourself out of those low points?
I like to be outside, so I go for walks. I like water. I like to be around water. Where I grew up, there's a lot of lakes, so that could maybe be why. But like, I just like to be around water, and so right now I live up kind of close to Central Park, so I go up there. I'm like by the reservoir, so I like go, you know, chill over there, and just like I just like to walk around and like explore places. Sometimes I'll literally just get on the train and just like get off at a stop and just like walk around where like I got off at the stop, you know, because it's just like. There's a
lot to discover.
So much to discover.
Everything's on top of each other culturally.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Soho's right next to Little Italy. It's right next to Chinatown. Like,
yeah. So it's amazing. Like, I have all of these things that I could do. And I like to cook a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's the diet?
Oh, the diet. So I've been trying to eat better recently.
Okay.
My thing is like, I have a really fast metabolism. So I can really eat whatever the hell I want, and I've always been able to do that, and I will stay looking exactly like this. Both of my birth parents were like this big, like straight up, like my family's metabolism is just impeccable, like truly. And so I've been lucky, you know, like I could really eat whatever I want, and like I'm not gaining weight. Like my dad always says that. He's like, yeah, like whatever you want, like it's not gonna show. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. But at the same time, like just because it's not gonna show out here doesn't mean that it's not gonna show in here. You know, like it doesn't feel good to like be eating like food that weighs you down all the time. You know, so I've been trying to eat better and like trying to just like things that I eat normally, like switch up the type of thing that I make. So like I like a lot of pasta. I've been trying to like when I eat pasta, like I'll have pasta multiple times a week. Like about 3 times a week.
That's fine.
Yeah, so
that's my favorite dish too.
That's what I'm saying, right? Pasta's so fire. My dad always made pasta when I was growing up because he's Italian. But now, like, first time I have pasta, I'll have regular pasta. I got whole wheat pasta in the kitchen too. So next time I have pasta during the week, whole wheat. If I have pasta again, then I have like a vegetable type of pasta. I have like zucchini pasta, chickpea pasta, you know? So it's like I can still have the main dish, but it's like I don't just gotta keep having these like plain, you know, dry starches. Like I've been trying to cut back on red meat. You know, I've been eating like turkey bacon instead of regular bacon, that type of stuff. I can't do turkey burgers. Like burgers are my one thing.
Burgers gotta be a burger.
Burgers gotta be a burger. I had a turkey burger.
I went to buy Chloe, and
Booty.
I was like, I should have just had a burger.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it's no offense to people that are vegan or vegetarian. Like, do your thing. Couldn't be me. Could not be me. I could never be a vegetarian or a vegan.
But it's about once in a while, right? You have the red meat in an interval where it's like, you know, every 2 weeks, every month.
Yeah.
That's responsible.
Yeah. And I've been eating like I eat a lot of seafood. I like shrimp. I like fish a lot. So I eat a lot of that. I like mushrooms and peppers. So I like try and put them in everything, basically, because you can put them in pretty much anything. But yeah, today I made this like Thai peanut sauce shrimp with udon noodles. Shoot. It was fire.
So you're getting fancy in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. I be chefing.
Yo,
I be chefing.
Send me over a care package.
I got you. I'll send you a plate. I got you.
All right, word. I want to talk about. So we're in New York. A lot of opportunity, and you mentioned, you know, booking shows. And how do you like the live performance element of the artistry?
I like it a lot. I love performing.
I think you translate well here. I want to cut in like. You definitely bring a lot of energy to the show. You bring your own style to the show. You make it fun. You have like Lonzo's like a very dancey record that people get into, and you know, shoulder shimmies and stuff. So I think it's a real strong point for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've always loved performing, and like I watch a lot of performance videos of other artists. I watch a lot of Lil Uzi's videos. I watch a lot of Drake's videos. I watch a lot of Young Thug performances. Like. Just like artists that I've enjoyed going to their concerts, I try and like watch what they do, because like everything is a craft. And so, you know, like the same way that, you know, you got to keep working to like be a better producer, be a better songwriter, like you got to keep practicing to become a better performer too. So that was also part of the reason that I booked so many shows this past year, was just like, you know, to like get my feet out there, you know, get my feet wet and have more experience doing that in a setting like New York City, because live music here is a lot different than in Syracuse.
Yeah, I want to talk about this idea of winning over the crowd, right? You're a new artist, so there's a lot to prove in a set, and you have to introduce them to who you are in a really quick fashion, and then figure out the crowd and then get them into it. What's going through your head mid-performance when you're observing a crowd and reacting to them and their energy?
My thing basically is like, I love feeding off the energy that a crowd has, but like at the end of the day, like you have to put first energy in as performer. And so like what I always try and do, like when I get on stage, is just like not think about the audience right away. Because like what I've realized is like I'll psych myself out trying to be like, all right, like how do I get everyone involved? Like so I just like put the first record on and like just go crazy on the first one, and just like let the energy speak for itself. Because like that's the power, especially of like trap. So much of trap is just the energy. Like a lot of artists, you know, if you listen to the lyrics, it's like
that's not the main attraction.
That's not really why people are listening to it. People might not even know the words, but it's like this beat knocks, like I can jump up and down at the concert. That's what it is. And so like I try and plan my sets like very consciously to like, you know, have the bumps like come at the right time. And also like I've done enough shows that like I have a set list like that I pretty much do every time. And so because of that, like I know like what songs like always carry and like what songs I got to put like a little bit more into to like get people to connect with, you know? And so I think that's also important. And like performing is like 50% preparation, like 40% what you do on stage, and then 10% just like the luck of the draw. Because like you could do everything right also, and like your audience just might not fuck with it. But like you also can't let that like discourage you. You know, like I've done some shows where like the setting hasn't been great. Like people have been talking through the set, and it's like, all right, like that's annoying. But at the same time, like I'm not gonna like lose my focus of what I'm doing, because I can still get fire show footage. Like I try and think of everything as an opportunity. Just because like the crowd is not rocking to it, maybe, you know, at this point, that's okay, because I can still get fire show footage from this. Like it doesn't have to show the crowd. It could just be a video of me on stage doing my thing. Like, you know what I mean? So I still gotta bring 100% to what I'm doing. And so I just try and like carry that throughout every show, and it usually goes pretty well. Like I just try and have like high energy, and I think that like it usually like people usually just feed off of that.
Yeah, the shows I've been to have been great. So how long have you been live performing?
For a while, yeah. Like even before I did hip hop, like I was doing live performances. With like the other music. I performed at like the New York State Fair a couple times. Like a couple venues at up in Syracuse.
Yeah, I want to talk about Syracuse, kind of the hometown crowd for you. How do you like performing there?
Actually, so interestingly enough, I haven't really been back to perform in Syracuse in a little while. Like since I've come down to New York, I've been doing more shows here. But like before I came down here, like I would perform in Syracuse like a good amount. But I was just like, I think I was also a little bit like I was younger, and so the performances that I was doing wasn't as much like they were more like you know, like fundraisers, like that type of stuff. And then my friend Sarah and I had like a little group for a little while called the Emerald City Revival, and so she played the cajon, and so we would like do shows together like that. But yeah, I did like a couple of shows. Like I did a show in Virginia like when I was younger. Just like bouncing around different places. But I've always loved to perform. Like that's always been super fun for me. You know, I would like do it in my room, like with like deodorant, like jumping around,
the proving ground,
mic, you know. Yeah.
In the mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
Home Alone 1 style.
Yeah.
I'm with it. All right, cool. Tell me about the management situation and the team and building a team for advice to a new artist who wants to be in a good situation.
So my team right now, I have my manager Alex, and he works with this other guy Blake, who's like working on starting like essentially a label. But Alex is like my main manager. And then aside from that, like up till now, like Benny has basically been engineering stuff, like mixing stuff. Right now, like I said, I have my friend Justin Boyd helping me out on that end. I think he is probably going to do the mixes post as well. Right now, my team is relatively small. I have like my main photographer is my homie from Syracuse. Her name's Maddie. She's like taking pretty much every single one of my press photos, and like, yeah, she's just like a real good friend of mine. And so that's been dope. And like my biggest thing is like I you know, like stay down till you come up, you know? So I try and put the people that are on my team to be like people that are family to me. Because I think that if you just like, there's like management that works because the manager is good and the artist is good, and then there's management that works because that is true, but also because like there's a connection between those two people. And I just I wanted that. So I tried to make sure that like the people that I had on my team were people that like I really fuck with. And then more recently, kind of like expanded the people that I'm kind of like vibing with. I recently joined this collective called Whole Nine, and so like now I'm linking with the artists that are like in there working on music, like, and so they're also definitely like a part of my team and like on the creative end, just because like a lot of them produce, so like I can like get production help from them, and also just like bouncing ideas off of people is like always extremely helpful for me. So joining that has been dope, and they're all homies. Like I love all of them as well. So yeah,
dope. And actually, I'm just thinking as we're talking, you have a show coming up at the Delancey.
Yes.
In April.
I do.
How did that come together?
So basically, there's this like writing / production camp called the Code, and the like leader essentially of the Code is this woman named Ashley Rose. She signed to Rock Nation as a songwriter, and so she's putting together like essentially a showcase of like up and coming New York City artists. And so this guy that I know, Clayton, that works, has like done some work with Ashley. He was like, hey, like we have a slot on this. So it's a tour. It has like 4 stops. So it's New York, Atlanta, Detroit, and LA. And so I'm doing the New York and LA stops. But yeah, not
That's gonna be awesome. Listen, if you want to check out Jesediah's music and go mess with him and go see what the hype is about, you definitely have to come check him out there.
Facts.
I also performing there is somebody who I just interviewed, Rob Blue. If you haven't checked out the Rob Blue interview, go check that out. Okay, so we were talking about team, we were talking about management. I want to know about the goals for 2018.
So essentially, main goal is getting this project done, and releasing like singles / dropping the project. And so right now, like wrap date for the project is April 28th. And then like everything will just be in like final mastering / like last tweak to mixes stage essentially. Because the way that we've been doing things is like been booking very long sessions, essentially been like tracking, getting like vocal chains established, and then like Justin will take care of the rest, essentially like gets the mix correct. And like I send him like references of like artists that I'm listening to, like how I kind of want the vocals to sound, that type of stuff, and he just like basically goes from that. And so yeah, we're looking to have this done April 28th, and then start like dropping a couple of singles from that, and then put the whole project out maybe like midsummer. Yeah.
I think you're a summer artist. I think that's a good window. So are you going to be performing some new music at this event in April?
Yeah. I'm going to be performing some of the old stuff, but also going to be like playing some of the new stuff that I've been working on.
Testing some stuff out. I mess with it. All right. I wanted to ask you, so I am a business student, marketing background. I want to ask you about the new rules of music marketing and where you think you have a competitive advantage, or a place in which you see people doing really well that maybe not everyone is succeeding in that area.
Music marketing, I think, is really hard because so much of it comes down to like paying someone a lot of money to do shit, essentially.
Or even paying for views through having your music become an ad on like Instagram or something like that. I'm seeing a ton of that right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I think that the thing about marketing or anything, like my biggest thing, and I think that a lot of artists like unfortunately don't always think this way, and not all like management thinks this way. Like I see a lot of artist management teams like spending their money like just so unwisely. And I think that like the biggest thing, as it should be for any business venture, is what is the return on investment. And I don't think that enough people are like thinking in those terms. Cause like, you know, I see people like paying like thousands of dollars to like playlist music, which is dope. But if you don't know that the song that you're going to release afterwards as a follow-up can either one, do as well without those playlists, or you don't have the money to then do it again, then like, is it wise to do it on like your first song or something, you know? And it's just like, there's a lot of things that I think that like you have to think about what is the return on investment. Like if you're going to put $1,000 into it, do you need to get $1,000 back? Like that's number one, because like your return on investment doesn't have to be 100%. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't just have to be like, okay, I'm putting in something and then exactly what I put in, I'm going to get out plus profit. It's like, you know, sometimes it's okay to lose money because, you know, long term it's going to work out in a different way.
Yeah, investing on visibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Type of stuff.
Exactly. Because it's like, you know, for example, like if I pay for like an Instagram ad, the return on investment for like running like a $70 Instagram ad or something, Facebook ad, whatever, I'm not going to make $70 back from Facebook.
Right.
But hopefully, you know, like if it reaches like 3,000, 5,000, however many people, those people are going to then go stream the music on Spotify. You know, then maybe I'll make $70 back in royalties or ticket sales. Or so it's like there's different ways that the money's going to come back. But like putting it all into one thing that you don't know that you're going to get it back from isn't always the best thing to do. But the thing is like, marketing companies, PR, like they all make it seem like either pay or like nothing's ever going to happen for you, basically. And it's like, sure, when you get to a certain point, like it can definitely be worth it to hire someone to do your PR and to like throw money into that. Or if you like have a couple records that you know can take off, then like maybe, you know, you do hire like a marketing firm and like they handle that. On the other hand though, I think that like when you're an upcoming artist, like there's so many places you got to put your money, you know? You got to get studio time. If you're not producing for yourself, you know, you might want to get exclusive beats, whatever it is. So there's so many places that you're putting money into. So like you just got to think about like what makes sense. Like it might not make sense to spend money marketing your music right now. It really just might not, right. You know? Now might not be the time. Now might just be the time to like put the music, like we haven't spent money on like PR for like we've sent stuff out to blogs and like if they take it, they take it. Because like my thinking has just been like it's not worth it at this point yet to spend this money on the music. You know, with some of the new stuff that I'm doing, like I think there's gonna be a couple of singles that will probably push. Just because like now I'm more confident in my sound, you know, I know what I want to do, but it's like I think that like money makes money, so like you gotta invest at some point, but it doesn't always have to be square one. And I think that like that's a lot of times like people trip up on that. They'll like spend however much making the project, promoting the project, and then no one listens to the project. So it's like that's great, you know.
That's a sunk cost.
Yeah, it's like that might
in the accounting world.
Exactly, your project might sound fire, but like, was it worth it to invest $5,000 into it, however much into it, to then have like no one really fucks with it? Like, you know, it's like people also be spending money on music that's not done. Like. Also, I think like, and I think that's a symptom of like the music world that we have now. You know,
the pace is different.
Yeah, you got artists like Young Thug who literally seem to have, you know, like they always have music. There's always a Young Thug league, and it's like that's dope. You know, Quavo, Offset, they were on literally every track last year. And it was like, what's
like the pop songs?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
everything. It'd be like Offset, and you're like, oh, okay, word. Like I see, but it's like. If you're not gonna give me Migos bangers every time, then like I don't need Migos speed. Like I think that people also like it's important to have a lot of music, but like I got hella songs on my computer. Like that doesn't mean I'm dropping them every day. Like you still got to work through things to their completion, and I think that like that is also something that people aren't doing with all their music. You know, like people are putting out shit that like. It sounds like demos, and it's like there's just way like we have access to too much stuff that like that stuff now backfires. Like before, if you sent a demo to a record label, right, and well, you can't even really send demos to record labels because they won't really take them. But like, let's say, you know, like a record label hears your song like 30 years ago, and it's just like a demo you recorded. You had to record it in a studio, most likely.
Yeah.
Regardless. Now, like, you could have recorded it in your home, but the thing is, like, you can record it in your home, but you can also get it to sound like you did it in a studio. So when you hear something that was done in someone's home and sounds like it was done in someone's home, then bad luck, because it's like you've got all this stuff right on your computer to make it not sound like you did it at home. And so there's also just this, like, you know, people want to like be on this pace of like, oh, like Future's got like 3 million mixtapes and like a new song every day. That's great, but this is also Future, who can like lock into a studio for literally 24 hours if he wants to. Sitting in front of your desk for like 3 hours and being like, the song is done, it might be, but like 90% chance it's not. And I think that like there's also like people don't want to like edit stuff, go back, and just like, I've been sitting on music for so long, and like people saying, you know, like, when are you gonna drop this? When are you gonna drop this? When it's done, you know, like when it's ready. Because otherwise, like, I want to be listening to one of my songs and being like, oh shit, should have changed that one word, like should have had that sentence. So I edit things until it can't be said better. Like that's my new rule. Like, if, you know, go through the song, write it, listen to it a bunch of times, I pick out all the things that could be better, like could sound different, could flow better together. And then I go back through and I specifically edit those things, like come up with like 4 different variations of like the same line until I'm like, this is the one that hits the best, because I got all the time in the world. Like, that's the thing too, like as an upcoming artist, there's no reason to rush because you're not yet on a schedule. Future needs to put out music all the time because Future's Future. And we expect him to put out music all the time because it's like, you have all these resources, what, like, we're checking for him. People are listening to the music, but no one's checking. I could stop making music and it wouldn't really matter, like, at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it would matter to me. I'd be sad. But like, in the grand scheme of things, like, I could stop making music tomorrow. People could just listen to the records that are out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not established enough that people are like checking, like, oh, what's good? What's going on with Jesediah? So it's like, if I want people to do that, then I have to give them my best product. I can't just sound like another one of the millions of SoundCloud rappers that are out here, because like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So it's just been a lot of like sitting with myself lately and like figuring out like exactly what it is I want to say and like how I want to go about this process, because there's so many roads that you could take, you know, to get to like your final destination. But like, once you start, like, that's the one you got to drive on, you know? So like, I'm trying to make sure that like I got the right homies in the car with me, and like, you know, we're on the right path and we're like doing it the right way.
Yo, you're definitely on the right path, and I want you to keep that attitude, because it's a craft, and you definitely, as a new artist, you'll never regret that extra time you put in to go from good to great. Because if we're thinking about making timeless music, right? What's timeless music compared to like 2 months?
Exactly.
Or a month or an extra week of mixing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, if you got to send it back and be like, no, this is wrong. Like, I want it to be changed. Like, I want this to sound this way. Then do it. Like, and that's the thing too. Like, I think, and obviously, like, you want to be respectful of people's time. Like, you don't want to have someone mixing something like 50 times. That said, though, if someone says like, yeah, I'm gonna help you get this mix right, then like, they said they were gonna help. They said they were gonna help you get this mix right. So it's like, if you get a mix back and you're not happy with it, why put out something that you're not happy with? So that, you know what I mean? Because it's like, then it's gonna be out there forever, and every time you hear it, you're just gonna be like, damn, like, I wish I had told them to like compress the vocals less, or like, you know, I wish I had told them to add a little more reverb on this. Like, and so it's like, then just tell them and save everyone the trouble of afterwards, like, you hate your shit. Because like, that's the worst thing, you know, you put all this time into something and then you're just like, I don't like it. So I never want to do that. Like, the music I've been making lately, like, I play in my apartment and like rap to myself and like dance around my apartment. I'm like, yo, like, I love this music. I love this music. And so I think that's super important too, because like, people will fuck with what you fuck with. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if you're really down for your craft and you really are like, this is me, this is what I want to make, this is what I'm doing. As long as it's not complete trash, like, people are going to gravitate towards it. in part because they might like it, and in part because you're being so honest with yourself. Like, that's the thing. People can see bullshit from 50 miles away.
I think the light is being shined on lack of authenticity.
Yeah.
So there's no more of that. You have to come as you are with the music that is true to you and hope for the best results.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, it's like it's really coming home to roost for some people because, like, you know, like 6ix9ine, Casanova 2 times called him out, did that whole set tripping thing. Like, there's a lot of stuff that like you could get away with that like people are just way bolder now. Like, just, you know, like people are just bolder. If you're out here with like whatever 50 Bloods in the video, but like you used to be a Crip, someone's gonna say something in 2018. Someone's gonna say something,
right? Especially in New York. New York has a bubbling scene right now, and
absolutely
all different pockets of town.
Yeah, so it's like you just gotta be real, be 100, and like it's no shade to 6ix9ine. Like, I don't know his life. Like, maybe that really is what it is, but if someone thinks it's not, they're gonna say something. Like, that's just the era that we live in, and like it's gonna come up with any artist. Like Lil Uzi. Was it Reese LaFleur? Like, he made that whole diss track about like how Uzi stole his whole flow. And it's like, you know, like people just aren't like, because anything can go viral now, people aren't gonna handle their like beef privately.
That there's way more to gain.
Exactly. Because like it's so much more clout from putting somebody else on blast than just like handling your beef to the side. So people, like, that's what people are doing now. So it's like, if you're out here fronting, saying some shit that's not true, like, someone's gonna call you out on that. And like, it's wild too, because like Syracuse is like, there's a lot of violence in Syracuse. And so it's like, you know, like I saw literally like this dude like fuck around and die, like straight up, like was claiming a gang that he's not a part of, and got taken out for it. And it's like that type of shit. Like, I'm not trying, like, you know what I mean? I don't need no one running up in my fucking spot, like trying to start shit because like they think, oh, this, that, and the other. It's like, so just come correct, you know? And like, I feel like that's like the bottom line, because it's always been about authenticity, especially in hip hop. It's always been about authenticity. And so it's like, it's just gotten more so because people have access to your bullshit. Like, they have immediate access to your bullshit, you know? Like, half the reason 6ix9ine got in trouble is because people can see those old pictures of him, you know?
Floating. Yeah, the digital, like, footprint is one of these things that's now timeless. Like, anything that goes out digitally, you can expect that it's going to come back to find you when you're looking for that job.
Exactly.
And wherever down the road.
Exactly.
When you might not be expecting it.
Exactly. And so it's just like, it's best to keep it 100. Like, and not to say that like I wasn't in my old music, but just like, I also think that like, I don't gotta keep it 100 about like the same shit that everyone else is keeping it 100 about. Like, I know it's good, my friends know it's good, but like, it doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, I don't gotta be out here like then like another black guy talking about like violence and drugs,
right?
Like,
making it extra.
Like there's other people doing that, and that's fine. And it's like, whatever, like, shit that's happened has happened, but that doesn't have to be like everything I speak about for the rest of my life. Like, I got a lot of other shit happening too, you know what I mean? And like, things that are affecting me more, like the aftermath of some of these things, like that become like emotional turmoils, you know? So it's like, there's other ways that you can get out like the same sentiments and not be talking about like blowing someone's brains out, you know? And so it's just been like, it's all just been like a learning experience of like what I want to say, how do I want to say it, you know? Like, how do I want people to like see and hear my story, all that type of stuff. So, but yeah, it's been good.
Yo, you know what? This last question popped into my mind talking about portraying yourself as an artist. And you mentioned having a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend. What is that? First of all, are you single?
Yes.
You're single now. What are you thinking about in terms of trying to be with someone at this point?
Right now, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just really busy, and I'm also just like got like some shit to work out for my last relationship. It was I was very lucky to be very deeply in love with someone, but also like those types of situations are very explosive, and so
love is hate.
Yeah, and so it's just like, you know, things are complicated and people drift apart, you know, like it is what it is. But that said, like that doesn't mean that just because like I can have like a clear head about it, like doesn't necessarily mean that like, you know, like there's still shit that I gotta work out. And so right now I just feel like I couldn't be really I couldn't be like 100% for anybody else right now.
Right. It's a busy time for you.
Yeah.
Do you think
like
there would be a way to balance that, to put that into the equation and give both things the right level of respect and time?
I think that at least right now, I think I would have to date someone with like similar schedule, like either another artist or like, but it's hard too because like dating an artist, that can just inherently be explosive because like just like the energy there.
Imagine.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about not handling your business on the side. Like,
yeah.
That'd be crazy.
But it's like, I just think that like the biggest thing, like relationship, like people will drift apart and like people will get annoyed if like one party feels like they're, you know, like they're being ignored for something else. If you know, if I'm in a relationship with someone that like has a similar schedule or at least gets what my schedule is, like that's not gonna be an issue. But right now I'm just like doing my thing. I live by myself, so like I'm just like doing my solo right for the moment.
Word. I think that if you have the opportunity to have that situation, I think you should make the most of that time that you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, wrapping up, do you have any shout outs, and then where can people find you on social media?
Shout outs. I want to shout out my dad, Vince Gambati. He just wrote a book, just came out. It's called Most Precious Blood. You could get that on Amazon. Anybody else I got to shout out? Oh yeah, I got some Syracuse shout out my homie Max from back home. You already know. All the homies back in Syracuse. Shout out Sarah, Tamika. And you can find me on social media, on Instagram, Young Jez, with underscores in between Young and Jez. And then
Jez spelled
Jez. Yeah. And then Facebook, SoundCloud, like you can just type in Jesediah. Same with Twitter, it's like Jesediah Music. But you could just type in Jesediah, like it'll come up. Same thing with like Instagram, really. You could type in Jesediah, it'll come up.
Word. I'm going to have all that information down in the description. This has been the interview with Jesediah. I appreciate you for coming through,
thank you for
bro.
having me,
This
man.
was a great talk.
This was hella fun.
I'm excited about this one. And we're signing out. Organized Sound Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Why you worried about how the next nigga flexing? When you dumb niggas gon' learn your lesson. Back off, cause my patience you be testing. And now I just can't keep dealing with all this negativity. So keep that bullshit to yourself, cause it don't mean shit to me. Nah. Say that shit for the birds. Say that shit for the birds. Give a fuck what you heard. I don't give a fuck what you heard. You can say that shit for the birds.